I'm gonna say, can it tell that I rolled my eyes through my glasses?
No.
Is it picking up that?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the.
I knew you was gonna do it. I knew you was gonna do it.
Word. This is what we doing today, guys.
I apologize. I missed you, man. I gotta show my affection when I miss somebody.
Well, if you was gonna do it, don't half-ass it, man. You gonna say it or not?
All right, can we? Leave this all in.
No. You gotta be ready.
Stop
You got ready to take the shot or not take the shot. So Kaz wanted to jump out when he wasn't supposed to jump out and do the intro, and clearly he was prepared to stomp with the big dogs. And so, welcome to the Brodies. Today we have a special episode for you guys. We can't wait. We got a guest in the building. I'm Mr. Brown.
This your boy Kaz.
Poppy Slim is back, baby. Poppy Slim is back.
That's funny every time I hear it. And we got a special guest in the building, my friend, my boy Michael.
I guess that would be me.
Welcome, man.
Thank y'all, I appreciate it. First off, before y'all get started, as I told y'all a little bit before, I have watched a few of the episodes or whatever because out of force. Because this one comes in every day and he's like, hey, you gotta check us out every day. Check us out. So I feel like I know y'all a lot more than y'all know me. I especially listened again to the insecurity one because I need to have some information on y'all before I gave out some information on me. So yeah, we're all close. Once you've heard about people using the bathroom and all that good stuff, I'm like, ain't nothing you can't talk about. So thank y'all. I appreciate y'all for having me.
Anytime.
And crowd out there, I'm talking to you, America. You know I like to talk to y'all sometimes. Michael was like, are you gonna yell at me and be angry? I'm like, I'm not what they say I am. And I wanted to sway this whole narrative that is going on. I'm the second nicest person on this podcast. I am the second most even killed person on this podcast. That's all I wanted to say. In real life.
We're gonna do a ranking list. And don't worry, that Brody episode is coming. We're just gonna rank us and everything.
On personality traits?
Yep.
Oh, okay. That sounds fun.
See? We can do it's like a million questions we answer and be like, oh, this is our top 5 personality traits. And we can try to guess each other's traits like, you have this one.
Oh, that sounds fun.
See? That's coming soon, America. Coming soon.
So we have a guest in the building, and like we said, it's a special episode, so we actually want to dive in to.
I'm about to die.
You be testing me, America. I don't think, have I ever yelled at you, Poppy Slim?
Nah, I think me and you have understanding of each other. Like, I know what pushes your buttons, so I don't tend to bother you.
Oh, so it's a 2-on-1
I
fast break?
think
This what this is? This is a 2-on-1 fast break?
I think me and you, I don't think we ever had an argument or exchange words. Same for me and Cass, though. Like, this is why I sit in the middle. This is exactly why I sit in the middle. Because you two are like Tom and Jerry. You just don't stop.
Can I be Tom?
No, you're definitely Jerry. No, you're Tom.
Exactly,
Yeah,
I'm Tom.
Brown is Jerry.
That's a compliment.
I'm really trying to analyze everything to make sure this is appropriate. So, Michael, how are you, Michael? Oh, man.
The podcast is still young, so I don't know if I will get yelled at or tossed out of this big window that's right over here, but I noticed that you're closest to it, so it could possibly happen.
Oh, man, I'm sipping my wine, man. Ain't nothing bad. So, we... On the show, we like to bring in other guests, and we do want to say if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, any of those places where you get your podcasts, we want to do this for the culture, to move the culture. And today we wanted to talk about an aspect of our culture that we haven't talked about as much on this show, mainly because we are who we are. And so, Michael, can you give us some insight about some of the things we may talk about this episode or not at all. I don't give a fuck.
All right, so first of all, before we get into the other topic, I guess we as people are monoliths, so I have a whole lot of stuff going on in addition to that topic.
Yeah,
So,
that shit, talk that shit. That's that black liberation. Yeah.
So, for people who don't know me, I'm a humor person. So I have a humor blog. You can see me at humormike.com. I do humorous posts on Instagram and Twitter. I work with this knucklehead in accounting.
Hey, put that shit. Plug that shit one more time. What's your tag? Put that shit one more time.
It's Humor Mike. Humor Mike. Spelled exactly how it sounds. I paid for that.
Talk your shit.
Yeah, I paid for that. That's right. That's right. Y'all be Ramada in. I be paying. Yeah, and so in addition, I think I've been invited here to give a different perspective on dating and relationships from a different perspective than these three guys, as far as I know. So, are you going to introduce it, or do I have to be the person to do it?
I think Cash should introduce.
Oh, that introduction was so smooth though. Like that introduction was so smooth.
He's done his
Yeah.
professional. Look at you.
This ain't his first time. This ain't his first rodeo.
And not at all. Yippee-ki-yo.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Hey.
So since I'm doing the introduction, how can I say this with being the most...
It was your idea.
No,
So
it was.
just
But I want to
talk
say...
about
So I wanted to talk about... So we haven't talked about like the gay culture on this podcast because we just haven't gotten to it yet. But I felt like it was something that needed to be done because it's in America today. It's in the world today. It's more in your faces. And you have to learn to be one with it, or like just learn how to coexist or work with it. And it's like, and then they've been going through such a struggle. I feel like it's time to just help them out.
Or we've been going. I don't know. I'm trying to be inclusive about things because I, as black people, and that's who we are. We black. Last time I checked, we black.
Yep, Ancestry.com told me I was right.
Yeah. So it's an interesting history that we have in the black community when it comes to our gay brothers and sisters, as if they haven't contributed. It's almost like if you ever watch a historical movie or even a sci-fi movie, and you ever think to yourself, where are all the black people?
Yeah.
Like we didn't make it to the future, or we weren't at this battle. We've been here since the beginning. And the same thing can be hold true. It's like without our gay brothers and sisters who have done amazing things, there will be no March on Washington. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There will be no Langston Hughes. There will be no James Baldwin. There will be none of these people that have contributed so much. But we just kind of like, put the blinders on, bro. Put the blinders on.
And I feel like it's just time to take those blinders off and accept it.
And so that's why we're here.
And that is why we're here, folks.
And so, yeah.
Yeah?
I need a song for transition music.
We're working on it later.
Boopity boop.
But one of the things that I wanted to touch on is like, how do you feel about, like, have you ever, this is not going to be for Michael, but for you two guys, have you ever worked with anybody that is gay? I can say that and it don't sound mean or wrong. I want to make sure. Talking about everybody.
Yes.
So I just want to talk about what are your guys' experience?
Oh, well, I'll say like this. If you haven't known by now, America, I went to one of the greatest universities, colleges in the land of the Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia.
Weird flex, but okay.
No, it's not. It's Morehouse College. So I'll definitely say that if you don't know, Morehouse College is an all-male HBCU. It's the only one that exists in America, and it's also in Atlanta, Georgia. And me as a teenager, growing up in Southern Christian normative culture, had a very narrow scope of what things are supposed to be as far as orientation and things are concerned. And it wasn't until I went to Morehouse where I was like, yo, these views are stupid and dumb. Like my homie gay, you know what I'm saying? All these, like, he likes dudes, I like women, some like men and women. Like, you can't really, does that make him less of your homie? Whatever. Like, we can't still talk and be humans with each other, and it's like, no, man, if you around them, man, they could be hitting on you, and that. I'm like, dog, nigga, you think very highly of yourself, first of all. like, yo, everybody's hitting on you, bro. Everybody hitting on you. You think you that hot shit, and first of all, and if they hit on you, so fucking what? So what?
Nah, I always just find that funny. The people that always are worried about the one getting hit on, trust me, they're not.
You ugly, nigga.
Yeah, basically. Like, you're never their type. So it's like, why would you even concern with that? So I didn't really have no experience until like I came to DC. Just because of the way I grew up in like New York, I never really had that experience because it was just never around me until I got here. Then once I got here, I realized like, oh, like, why does it matter? Like, who cares? Like, everybody's gonna live their own life. Everybody's gonna do their own thing. So it's like, it doesn't matter. You're not less of my homie. You're not like less of a man. You're the same. Like, you're still a strong character. I go off your character, go off your personality. Like, if I get along with you, I get along with you. I don't really care what you do. Like, that doesn't affect my life.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for one thing, like, if I'm your friend regardless of what you may bring to the table. Like, I got your back to the moon and back, and we're gonna be boys today. I'm gonna come to you for advice. I'm asking you for suggestions, cause you're my friend. Like, if you're my friend, you're my friend. I have your back 110% all the time. Like, nothing changes because based on a person's outlook or how they view things. Like, that does not change the way I look at anybody. You know what I'm saying? So I think you have to look at it in a different scope. And I think people are just so like jaded, you know, they kind of think like, oh, well, I can't hang out with that person. No, then you're a terrible person. You're a terrible person, if you ask me.
All right, so I need to rewind back for a second. So Cass said he's from New York, lived in New York, and he didn't get exposure until he was here in DC.
Yeah.
New York big as fuck, dog.
Yeah, it's super. New York is huge. Like, when I tell you it's huge, like, it's fucking huge. So if something just doesn't like cross your way, it just doesn't, because it's like all the times I went out in New York, all the people I hung out with, they just never happened to cross my nature. It's not like, and I just didn't really think of it. I was just like, oh, all right, whatever. Because there was a point in my time where playing baseball, I always traveled. So like in summers, I wasn't really like hanging out. I was like,
ain't no gay baseball players.
Nobody came out to me or told me. So I don't know.
Cause you don't be inclusive, bro.
I guess I'm not. Like, how?
You was making them jokes in the locker room, weren't you? Oh, bigoted ass nigga.
I was actually a very quiet person playing baseball. I didn't come on my shell until college. Like, playing baseball up until then, I was just like, I'm just here to get a scholarship because my mom told me she can't pay for college.
Okay.
So I can't fuck this up. But yeah.
And you ain't shut up since.
Oh, damn. I felt that. Damn, America. See this?
It's only funny because I talk more than you.
But yeah, so that's like that's just how I grew up. It's just like I never thought about it, didn't care, but it's just like what I was around.
So let's get this popping. My first question for you, Michael, where you from?
I'm originally from Baltimore.
Oh.
But I've been around a little bit. So I've lived in Richmond, Virginia. I've lived in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And I currently live in Gaithersburg, Maryland. So yeah, so I've been around a bit.
Been around a bit. So
been around the world.
My question, since you've been primarily around, I guess we call it Mid-Atlantic, a region, were you comfortable enough being who you are? Because I know even as every kid, we all go to that awkwardness, like, what the fuck is going on, and everything like that. And then, were you comfortable just to be you?
No. No, and if I'm honest, at first I have to say I'm speaking from my own personal experience of I don't represent all gays. You have to go to Ellen for that. I don't speak for us all. But one, being raised in Baltimore, I was raised in the inner city, so there was a sort of, and I was raised by a single mom, so there was kind of like, yes, seriously, don't let her see this. So there was a little bit of danger about being perceived as weak. So that was first things. I was also raised as a Jehovah's Witness, so I know that some of us have church experiences, but the Jehovah's Witness experience is a little bit different. So all my life growing up, it was not something that was accepted. It was not something that was talked about. And so even now to this day, I still have issues with being like, who are you? you know, I'm still growing and still learning. And so, no, it was not something that was just like, oh yeah, you're gay. You knew at 5. Yay. No. It was a process, an absolute process.
And I think it's like funny, like, you know, as a kid in the environments that we grow up in, and how it kind of shapes. Because I know we said on the podcast, like, the first conversation I ever had sex with my mom, I was like, Mom, why does my pee-pee get hard and whatever? And she goes, that's when little boys have nasty thoughts. And at that moment, I was like, I guess I'm never talking about this with you ever again. And now I gotta figure this shit out with my friends, and that's a tough thing to do. So I'm saying, what was your figuring it out process growing up?
Good question. So it's really kind of funny that we're having this conversation now, because the experience now for me feels really different than when I was growing up. So when I was growing up, I feel like I was patient number 1. I was the first gay. I was the only gay. I didn't know anybody else who was gay. Nobody was talking about it. You couldn't talk about it we go to the Kingdom Hall. That would be what some people consider church. That wasn't something that we talked about, except for the fact that it was wrong. And so there was no support system. There wasn't any resources that I had. So like everything that I was experiencing, I had to kind of internalize. My mom was don't watch this, mama. My mom, cut it off, fast forward a few minutes. So my mom, she was a young mom, so she was 19 when she had me. So even she didn't have all of the tools to be able to deal with all of the stuff that was going to happen and impact me. So essentially I had to do it myself. And so I'm really kind of proud now that, you know, you can turn on the TV and there's a gay person, or that there's people that are out there that are saying, hey, you know, we don't care, or that there's parades and stuff. But when you're 10 years old and you're trying to figure out what's going on with you, it's, for me, back in the day, it wasn't a huge support system for that.
So you had the internet? That's what.
Okay. I think that I'm probably older than everyone here, so.
Competition. Nah.
I believe that I'm actually older than everybody here. So there was internet came out probably, or at least we had that. Because remember when internet first came out, everybody can afford it.
AOL dial-up. You used to get the free joints, and when the minutes run out, you get to hope for the next CD to come in.
Yeah, exactly. Did I mention I was from the inner city? We was not paying. We didn't have access to internet. We were trying to get gateway computers and paying like $50 a month for it.
Joining the cow box.
Yeah, exactly. That you had to put together yourself. So no, and even if I did, like my mom, she was a helicopter parent. So even if we did have resources, like this is before cell phones and pagers and all this other stuff. So it wasn't like I would have been able to freely do that. And if I could have done that, my mom probably would have found out. My mom was one of the ones that had strict rules, like no TV in the morning. And so I would find ways around that by like turning on the TV. But then I got smart. My mom would come home and she would touch the TV on the back. And then
you talking about that the other day.
I learned to, you know, wrap a towel with some ice and put it on the back of the TV. And that works unless you have it too wet. Then it dripped into the TV, and then you got so it wouldn't have been something that I would have been able to do. It was a process I had to learn the hard way on my own once I got older. And I guess we didn't actually talk about the coming out story, but in terms of me talking to my mom about it, I probably was about maybe 23. It happened in Baltimore in a parking lot in a mall because of Cisco's thong song.
Shout out to Cisco.
Yay, thanks Cisco. You helped me with that conversation.
I have so many questions, but I don't want to interrupt. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Come on.
So what had happened was I think we went to go to a music store because I went to go buy the CD, and I think the person who worked with me or whatever, they were gay, and I could tell, but my mom didn't. So I said something to her about it, and she was like, "What? I didn't even notice that." And then right then and there, I was like,
crack the egg now.
Like, Mama, I'm coming out. I have a song in my heart.
So how was her reaction? Like, how did she take that in when you had that conversation with her?
It was not what I expected because one, I felt I was nervous and scared for a lot of reasons because it's complex, because I felt like it was going to be a disappointment to my mom and to my dad. They were separated at the time. So I felt like it was going to be a disappointment. I also had the religious thing to worry about because with the Jehovah's Witness lifestyle, things happen kind of publicly. Like they could actually talk about it at the Kingdom Hall and tell everybody, you need to sit in the back, we can't talk to you because you did such and such and such and such. So I was really nervous. But at that particular point, I wasn't practicing. So I thought there was a possibility that my mom could say, I can't associate with you anymore because, this is your lifestyle and this is what you're doing. But instead, she looked at me and she was like, it's a phase.
Oh, damn.
And I was like, Mama. Because, my life kind of flashed before my eyes and I started rewinding back and be like, Mom, every time I did something that you thought was kind of partially sort of feminine, she would be the first person on the phone to call my dad. And I'm like, so now you think it's a phase? But I also get it that was a part of her acceptance thing. Oh, and I never had a conversation with my dad.
Okay. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's a hard question. How does your dad take it? But you answered that. All right.
It's kind of unnecessary. As time passes, things become a little bit more, out there. So my dad would make statements that, as long as people are happy or whatever. And sometimes I would have a conversation. I would say, oh, yeah, I went with a friend somewhere. And anytime I said a friend, he'd be like, oh, what friend? And I'm like, a married friend. Yeah, so, and plus, I also feel like by the time I was an adult, nothing that I did was something that he hadn't been exposed to before. So although I didn't have the conversation with him, he was exposed to other people who had, it just wasn't something that we talked about.
Yeah, it's like crazy. And sometimes I put it with just being black in general and the hyper masculinity that we kind of heap upon black men especially, where we can't even be anything even kind of emotional or whatever without someone
any sign of emotion. You soft.
Yeah,
man out. All those things I can't express my emotions.
Now I'm having a fucking heart attack. Thank you for your health advice and how to manage my stress and whatnot. But me thinking about 2019 and knowing that there's still some people out there who are afraid to be open and out. It was a couple of years ago, but I had a friend who was like, "Yo, I'm sit you down. I want to have a talk with you." And I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" And it's like talking, chatting, and it was like, "Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, tell you personally, that I'm gay." And I looked him dead in the face, and I was like, "I know." Yo, it's the new generation, baby. Come on.
Live your life. Live your best life.
You still gonna be friends with me? I'm like, what kind of bigot do you think I am? God damn, you still don't think highly enough of me and my character that I would defriend you because of some shit that's a part of you? No. If you fuck up my house,
then we not friends.
Then I'm like, yo, we gotta talk, bro. You disrespect my mama. Now we gotta talk. But the same thing that brought us together, shit, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Let's do what it do. You still got wingman duties when it's time to do wingman duties and whatever. And I will try to do the favor as best of my abilities if you want me to. But the way cultures go, I've only been invited to one gay club, 2 gay clubs, in my 10-year of friendships.
You know one thing I didn't realize about gay clubs and gay bars? They have some of the best music. It's never a bad transition in terms of music or there's never a bad DJ. It's always just great music. I'm like, I need to come here more often. It's just great music all the time.
Man, a homie told me, yo, I'll go dance at this spot. You can get all the free drinks you want. I'm like, nigga, say no more.
Where's this spot? We all going
there? No, it was in Atlanta. Yo,
I was about to say, we all going out there tonight. Cut this short. We going out. Something's breaking.
Yo, man, all these old dudes. I was 27 years old at the time. These old dudes trying to pick me up. I'm like, bro, buy me a drink. I feel like the chicks. Yo, hey. Oh man, that's cool, man. You do what for a living? Oh man, yeah. Oh no, I'm kind of tired tonight, so I'm gonna go ahead and go home.
But thanks for the drinks, though.
Thank you for the drinks, player.
How did it feel to be? How did it feel that night? Did it feel good?
Man, I got wasted. They took me home because I got drunk to the point. Nah, I'm not gonna say this on the podcast. I'm gonna say it on the podcast. I said every fucking thing else on the podcast. I had washed my hands, right? And like they ain't had no lotion in the bathroom, and my hands was getting ashy. They have a really big things about ashy hands, and I was like asking for lotion in the spot. I was like, "Oh, excuse me, do you have any lotion?" And apparently that's not a thing you should ask for in a particular spot. And they was like, "Nah, I got lube." I was like, "No, that's not what I necessarily want. I want
lotion.
I want lotion,
Hair lotion, moisturizer, not that."
And I'm like, "Let me ask somebody else." And it's like, I got saliva. I'm like,
whoa.
once again, I'm gonna get more ashy. And they was like, "Dog, we leaving the fuck right now. You are fucking wild." And I'm like, "Nigga, I'm very I'm myopic right now. I'm focused on
this lotion. My hands is ashy. My hands getting bruised.
To get done." And then we left the club and we was walking down the street, and then a homeless person came out and was like, "Hey, I'll freestyle battle you for some beer." And I destroyed that nigga. It was a very weird night, but you know, yeah.
And this was in Atlanta?
In Atlanta, man.
So we need to go to Atlanta because I need to see this.
Okay. Michael.
Michael just saying like, what the hell is this?
Oh God.
But so, Drod, can you tell me about any of your experiences?
He's like, "I'm looking at my phone, nigga. Leave me alone."
No, in college, I had a good friend of mine, and you know, we became really, really close. Like really good friends over the 4 years at school. And one day he sent me this email. He was like, "Hey man, like I'm really going through some stuff. Like I need to talk to you." I'm like, "Hey, what's up, man? What's on your mind?" And by that time I was already here in DC. And he called me one night, and I could just tell like by the tone in his voice, I knew it was something serious, but I thought like maybe his mom or dad had passed away. I didn't know. And he was like, "Hey man," he's like, "I'm gay." I'm like, "Dog, like I know." I was like, "It's cool, man." And he was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "I know." And like, and I think for him just to open up and tell me like what he was going through, and me
like
just being a good friend, yeah, like it made that transition so much easier for him. But the biggest thing was like telling his parents that, you know, and that took time. And I said, "Listen, man, like, you know, it took you 8 years, 7 years to tell me, so I know it has to be difficult to tell your mom and dad, you know." And for him, like, it was like he didn't want to be a disappointment to his family because he had older siblings who were married with kids, and you know, he was taught like, "Hey, you gotta get married and have kids one day." And, you know, and for him, it was just like, that's not the road I'm going down, you know. And we had like a 2-hour heart to heart, and you know, I was like, "Listen, man, like you still my homie to this day, and we still friends to this day. We still talk like once a week, whether through text message." And he tells me about the stuff that he goes through with his significant other. I'm like, "Damn, I go through the same shit sometimes too." I'm like, and he's like, "Listen," he's like, "Everybody crazy." I'm like, "Dog, I know everybody's crazy, but I think just being a friend and just understanding, like, look, you like what you like, you know, you are who you are, and you know, you have to accept that. Like, because if I'm your friend, I'm your friend, you know."
I got a question for you, Mike.
I guess I'm not a good friend because
No, I gotta ask a question. For a question in my brain. Where my brain work now, man, nigga, I be getting forgetful now. With your straight male friends, were you uncomfortable letting them know that you were gay, or was that something you just like they knew, or what?
Actually, that's a funny question because y'all was saying that when y'all friends come out to y'all like, "We already know." I'm like, did y'all like pause and be like, "Really?"
Sorry, damn.
Like the person could be like, "Hey, I thought I was living a straight life this whole time." Everybody's like, "We already knew. We got the tattoo. A rainbow followed you as you walked down the street." So one of the things that I've always tried to do, and even doing this particular thing, is not something that I do. So I don't address gay on my humor blog. I don't address it on my on Instagram. Like it's not the major thing that I want to be put out there about me, because I have a lot of other things that are going on about me. So a lot of times it's not something that even really comes up. Like I don't really have straight friends that I feel a need to just go up and say, "Hey, you know what? Let's have this conversation." You know, it feels absolutely unnecessary for me. But in times when I have had the conversation, because you know I have brothers and sisters and all that good stuff, and cousins and all that stuff. If it does come up, I mean, there is this fear because for you all, it seems great. Like y'all are like, oh, we already know and we don't care, but that's not how everybody else handles it. I have to think, like, I'm excited about where we are now, but then I think about the people who, like, there's still kids that are committing suicide because they're being bullied, or that are just out there struggling and don't have a support system. So for everybody, it's not that easy. Yeah. And so it is something that if I did decide to tell somebody about it, like at this particular point, you know, grown, it probably is not going to matter a whole lot, but it would be something that I would be concerned about whether the relationship would be impacted. Because I know everybody's not as super cool about it as some people are.
Yeah, I can see it as a child. Everything is frightening as a child. Letting someone know you like them.
That's the most scary thing.
It's terrifying. It's frightening as shit. You know what I'm saying?
When you give them that letter and check it, do you like me? Yes or no? You say, oh shit.
Or maybe.
I
put the maybe on mine.
I don't put the maybe. That's setting me up. You won't pick one. I'm gonna deal with one of these answers.
I had a chick add a maybe on the damn. I'm like, yo, I ain't put that on there. Nah, I need definitives. I don't want to live in the
I
grave.
put the maybe in block letters. Now I pass my note out.
I don't live in the grave. We're gonna do this black or white. I'm gonna get one of these straight answers.
That's what Michael Jackson said about my baby. Black or white. That's what I don't know. That's context.
I don't know. It worked. I was letting it ride. It worked for me.
I like Michael.
Listening to all these stories made me realize, do I need to be a better friend? I don't know. Nobody talk to me like.
Nobody comes out to you.
I'm like, man, like, do I give up something? I think I'm a nice guy. Do you guys think I'm a nice guy?
Yeah,
you want me to answer that?
Answer that off here. Don't answer that.
I don't know, man, because I think it's interesting because me personally, people have come up to me. Damn, I need to put a P guard on that because that P hit my ears extra hard. Personally, there's been many people who like, yo, I thought you were gay. I'm like, man, what I do? What I do? I was like, yo, I'm just trying to be me, whatever. I was like, yo, like even some of the gay homies is like, yo, I thought you was gay. When I'm like, damn, I thought you were supposed to have the gay door, and I was like, nigga, don't work like that. Like, you gotta have a conversation to kind of figure it out, you know. But I guess I got to the point and it was like, yeah. You close enough. I'm like, okay, thank you, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know if I should say that.
I don't know, man, because I remember being at church camp, and I think back, Trevor is probably very much gay, but Trevor also was hanging out with all the girls at church camp, and I was like, I want to be with the girls at Trevor with the girls. I'm gonna hang out with Trevor, and Trevor's wearing like slides. He's wearing slides with the socks before anyone's wearing slides with the socks, and I was like, yo, I want to be like Trevor, and whatever. Shout out to you, Trevor, wherever the hell you are now. I was like, yo, but you wasn't really like trying to holler at the girls. You just with the girls. And I was like, yo, I'm with Trevor. Trevor's my man.
Trevor the homie?
Trevor's the homie. And
Trevor's the plug?
And he embraced me, and I appreciated that and everything like that. You know, just got to put me on, Trevor. Just put me on. Just put me on.
I don't know. Like, I just thought it was like, just put me on. That sounds hilarious. But as we start talking more about these things, I wanted to know, in terms of the work field, like, how do you think that affected you? Because I don't, like, you know how, like, when you put out a resume, you have to put, like, black, white, stuff like that. I know you don't got to do that for your orientation, but once you, like, show up to interviews and stuff like that, do you feel like it plays a part? Because I know, like, for me, when I fill out a job application, I personally hate filling out the black part because I know they're going to just look at it and be like, oh, black guy, another black guy, diversity thing. I don't know.
Like, you already knew you was black when they say your name, nigga. Come on now.
Kasim?
Graham? Come on now.
Alexander Graham?
Kasim, though? You either black or you
black
or Middle Eastern.
I actually get a lot of Middle Eastern. Like, oh, Kasim? I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
No,
if you told me you was East African tonight, I'm like, nigga, okay, that makes sense. I would have been like, all right. I thought you was East African the first time I met you, nigga. I was like, yeah, you kind of got that facial structure, kind of East Africanism. Probably Sudan. Yeah, you probably Sudanese. Yeah, they look kind of Sudanese. Hey, you got that. I can see that.
And then you find out it's black as fuck?
It ain't black as fuck. You just black.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay. You can accept it or not. I don't know, nigga. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm just giving you my opinion.
This is what I love, Mr. Brown. He gives me his honest opinion. I always appreciate it.
Honesty is the best policy, Nick. I'm sorry.
But going back to what I was saying, I just want to know, like, how do you think it affected you in the workplace, like once you showed up for an interview or anything like that?
I'm pretty sure it. I don't know. Maybe it has, but that's not something that people could tell you. So if you end up not getting hired, you'll never know potentially why it is. But my theory is that if I did get eliminated because of that, then that probably wasn't a place I wanted to work anyway. And a lot of the places that I've worked, especially if it's like in a corporate environment or whatever, it's really not a problem. They all have diversity and inclusion programs. You come in and they see that. They might be like, yeah, we get to check the box. You're black and you're gay. What? And you went to school too? Well, I was in Harvard. So, yeah, so I don't think that it's really had an impact because of the types of jobs that I do. I'm an accounts payables manager now, so I work in accounting, and so nobody cares. It doesn't impact you doing numbers. However, when I worked on a military base, it was a little bit different, and I think because work has different cultures or whatever, and some, like right now you have HR, and HR is like, you better not say anything to offend anybody. But on the military base, it wasn't exactly that way. It was like, you don't ask, don't tell, don't say anything or whatever. And so it was more of a problem there. Of course, I got the job and just had to deal with being in that environment. But for me, I don't think that it's really impacted anything. And if it did, then that's good because that wouldn't be somewhere I want to work.
Do you find it, in your opinion, I have to say in your opinion because we are not a monolith, harder, I think harder is the word that I can think of right now, to be a gay black man or a gay black woman in America as far as acceptance and as far as movement?
It's actually funny that you say that because when I think back to the military experience or working on the base, me as a gay black man who never came out to people and said that was what I was. It was just known. They just knew. There was a gay black woman who was very kind of masculine leaning, and they loved her and accepted her. She was one of the, I don't want to say that, but she was like one of, like if you was outside and they were smoking, she was out there with them. It was easier for them to accept her than it was for them to accept, me or people that they thought were like me. And I was gonna say I don't know why, but I mean I guess if you're trying to be this strong, like I don't deal with any of that weak stuff or whatever. Probably a lot of worse words to that. But I think that it kind of depends on. I think it depends on the situation, the scenario. I think that men in general, straight men, seem to like and even be more accepting of females that are kind of fluid. Like, yeah, what? You like girls too? Well, I like girls too. Let's all get together and do our thing. So it's kind of like a little easier from my perspective, for maybe a black female. You might find out about that and think that, yeah, that's an awesome thing about that might add to your possibilities about things. So, and plus it might be, if you're not one of the masculine leading ones, it might be one of the easier ways to get around because nobody would possibly know, like unless they put it out there that, hey, I'm a black female that's gay.
True.
So, whereas it's not exactly that easy for me.
What is, thinking about straight black men or straight men in general, because you traveled all across the country, what's some of the myths that they thought about gay culture that may have been brought to you, or I don't know, something
That just made you laugh.
maybe made you laugh, maybe made you cry, maybe because when white people say some crazy shit about black people, like, you believe that? Like, this bitch hasn't even had a gun. I'm like, do you think all Negroes have guns? Huh?
Side note, so it's a perfect example.
This is
perfect
going
example.
good.
I was out of town at a wedding this past weekend, and we went to a plantation. And so the group that I was with, we were talking about, like, there's no way I could have survived slavery during that time. And you look up, it's just white people are just walking the plantation. And we was like, at some point, do you think they, like, it has to be ignorant? Like, why are we here?
You was in my city?
Yeah, it was South Carolina. I was in Charleston.
You was in my city? It was beautiful, wasn't
we
it?
was at the plantation, and it was just like, it made you think, like, damn, like I couldn't imagine living in that time frame. And then we were thinking, like, you know, just couples, families walking. It's like, why are y'all here? You know what I'm saying?
On a side note, if you notice, there's a lot of wrought iron bars on the fences and gates in Charleston. Did you notice that? I don't know if you noticed that very closely. Hella slave insurrections happened in Charleston.
It's crazy.
We don't play that shit, nigga. We don't play that shit, nigga. We stole a goddamn submarine in Charleston, nigga, during the Civil War, because we don't play that shit around. Okay, I'm sorry. You know, let's get you other people. We don't play that shit. Don't put down the shirt. We don't play that shit. All right.
Brody shirt coming near you.
All right. I'm sorry. It was a question. But
There was a question. I forgot the question.
Shit that's straight.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So, I actually broke one of these myself yesterday. I mean, I was at Dave & Buster's yesterday, and I love playing a basketball game. Now, I don't want to play real basketball because I'm not good at it. Don't rely on me to score a whole bunch of points. You're not going to win. But we do like to do the things that, you know, is considered technically straight. Just because you're gay doesn't necessarily mean that you know fashion. I don't know fashion. Like, I don't get it. I don't put clothes together well. But, you know, we do like to do active stuff. Like, we like to do the sports too. I say it funny. We like to do the sports. Had to be separate but equal. We like to do the sports thing too. It was mentioned earlier that people think that because you're a gay man, that means that you like all men, but it also means that you like all gay men, and that's not true. So you can meet somebody and be like, oh, you one of the gays? I have a cousin who's gay, y'all need to talk. You're like, no, we don't.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
No, thank you.
No, we don't. And so, I mean, with the exception of how you live your personal life, a lot of it could be exactly the same, especially if you're not one of the ones that waves the flag or wears it on your sleeve. Like, you can just go through life and have some of the same similar conversations as like your straight friends. It's not so different.
Now here's an important question: were you good at the basketball?
See, if you had looked at my Instagram yesterday, you would have saw I was spanking all of the ladies and all of the kids. I was doing it, and I did it until I was sweaty. I was like, who needs a gym membership when you could just go to Dave & Buster's? I was having a blast. When I wasn't so good was when I was playing against other guys. I was sending all the Lindas and the Mildreds home. I was like, get out of here. I got this. You ain't got no threes like me. And then real basketball players came and real baseball players came. And so, yeah, it was no competition for them. But I still enjoyed it anyway.
Don't feel bad. I'm
Mind your
terrible.
business.
I'm terrible at basketball. I'm terrible. I suck. Like, terribly bad.
Even at, like, games like at Dave & Buster's, because it's not like real basketball where you're dribbling and you're just trying to get the ball and hope.
America, you can't see his face, but let it be known that it's like, no, all basketball forms, not my thing.
Man, I'm not good with finesse sports. And that makes me feel bad because, and then it's a question of my blackness and my masculinity and all that kind of shit. And like, you know, you want to be good in basketball, especially when the whites pick you first.
Oh God, that is playing baseball, being the only black person. Every time they play picking, we're gonna pick Cass. And in my head, I was like, oh, these niggas about to be tight because the only thing I'm good for is rebounds and defense. Don't let me. I can't shoot. Nothing. I'm good for. If there's another athletic person, I can just guard him. That's all you're gonna get from me. So, I just always hated that. But I have another question for you. So I know dating in my world. That sounded fun, but whatever.
You have a world.
I do have a world that I even know that I'm the president.
Keep going. My bad.
You just said conjugal business. That hurt my feelings. Like, what am I? Hello? Don't answer that. So I know we've had some like side conversations about like how it could be a little harder in the gay community because they could be a little more harsh. Because I know we had some previous conversations about like, you know, dealing with rejections and stuff like that. And I was always coming from I played baseball, so it made me easier to deal with rejection because in baseball, you do 3 out of 10, you're in the Hall of Fame. Like, that's good numbers for in baseball. But in any other sport or most aspects of life, 3 out of 10, that's not good. You need to go back to the lab, go work on your shit. So that's always helped me deal with like just the rejection aspect in like my dating world, because it was just always like, all right, whatever. All you need is one to go in, and I'm happy. So So I just wanted to talk about that. Also with you guys, like, how's it help with you guys dealing with rejection? But first, actually, no, I want to start with Mr. Brown because he's staring at me.
I'm only just trying to focus, nigga. That's how my eyes work. I ain't really staring. You speaking. I felt I should look at you, like nice, mannerable people do. But whatever. I don't get rejected. nigga, I reject, nigga.
Okay, well, Poppy Slim, with a name like that, you don't reject anything, huh?
Well, I've been rejected plenty of times. It hurts. It hurts. But what was his original question again?
I don't know. That nigga's talking.
What was the original question?
Dealing with rejection. And I'm comparing it to how you deal with rejection. And we're going to compare like how the gay community can be a little more harsher in terms of the dating scene. Like, can we speak on experience like women are just as harsh or harsher?
Oh yeah, so, women, not all women, but some of them can be real cutthroat. They'll let you know, you don't got a chance. Bye. I'm like, damn, I just said my name. Too much. But rejection, it comes with life. It definitely builds character, and it's something that everyone gets rejected. Everyone gets rejected at some point. That girl that you truly like, or that guy that you like, you might be head over heels for them, but they can care less about you, and that's how the real world works. But to deal with it, it's like you got to just keep getting better. Just get back in there. Figure out what you need to work on, your presentation, how you present yourself, things like that. So that's how I deal with rejection, or so far.
All right. You know how we say that men are visual creatures, and so when it's two men that are attempting to connect, sometimes I think that they both could be focused on what the appearances and stuff look like, and I mean, but I guess that's something that happens. So it's like it's the same, except it would be two men that are doing it. For me personally, I feel in some instances, or maybe this is because these are the ones that you run into the most, it feels like in some instances we can be kind of catty as gay men, some of us, and so I've decided to work up my nerve and go talk to somebody. Like, say I went to talk to this dude over here, and finally I get over there, and it's one of his friends like, no, and I'm like, wait, but the friend, like, but you know, or your shoes aren't nice enough, or your pants aren't nice enough, or what type of pants are those? And so, but it kind of depends, because I find that if people think that you're an 8 or a 9 or a 10, then you probably don't get the attention and you're not going to get the rejection. But if you are considered to be a 3, or you're considered to be old, somebody told me, I think that I was maybe 170 at the time, and somebody told me that I was fat for the gay community. At 170. Yeah, so
damn. It's tough out them streets.
There's a lot.
170?
I'm fat as fuck.
Nigga, you're big.
Ron, how much you weigh?
Nigga, I'm 206.
See?
I'm 210.
152.
No, 170.
Oh,
Okay, I'm fat then.
see, this is why y'all are straight. So it's really is a lot of it. I guess it depends on your age and what you're looking for. A lot of it is physical, like so. Like you could jump on the apps and the first thing you see is the person's appearance. You look at their height and all that other good stuff, and it's a lot of voting people off the island for not meeting the physical, and not really knowing a whole lot about the person. But I think there's lots of reasons for that, though. I think that we have a lot of hurt within our community. Before I came here, I was already bothered by something else that was going on because I don't think y'all really talk politics here, but y'all's president said something about
what you mean, y'all?
Sorry.
We got a politics episode coming soon.
Okay, cool. So he said something about I guess Elijah Cummings area, and that's Baltimore, and that's where I'm from, and my mother still lives there, my family still lives there, and so you know, the gay community, we have to deal with the same things that everybody else has to deal with, in addition to the stuff that's related to being gay. So I think a lot of us are kind of closed off. You know, we go into situations like, nope, you ain't gonna hurt me, nope. So, I mean, for myself personally, you know, being able to be open and it's been tough for me.
I got a question. This is more my black nationalism kind of question. Well, it's a 2-part question. My first question: have you ever dated a white man?
Me?
Yeah.
Dated? They're fine.
like me. I ain't never dated. I've had relationships. I ain't never dated.
Yes.
Okay, all right. He's entertaining. Right? Yeah, I broke it down for you.
We got the same type. What you was hesitation on the dating. What were your reservations of like officially like dating mainly the whites?
The whites.
So I don't have any racial preferences. It's just that the guys I date tend to be black or not white. But also that kind of brings up another point. If you go to gay clubs, you might notice that there's a lot of separation, or at least there was, and it's getting to be a little bit better now. So the whites would go to one gay club, the blacks would go to the black gay club. Like we have black gay pride, and then there's white gay pride. So in terms of you crossing paths with white people who be interested in you, it's a little bit tough. But if you would know in advance, because they'd be like John B, and you'd be like, oh, okay, I know you now. But I did. You're like John B. You're like John B. Like, oh yeah, I know you down. I know you. I knew you like a little seasoning.
Don't know.
So I did this experiment thing when I moved to Gaithersburg, because when I moved out there, I realized that there wasn't a whole lot of or when you signed in to see, you know, who's around in the area, not a whole lot of black men there. So I sent a message to 15 white men just to say hello, how you doing, or whatever. I got no responses, and our worlds can kind of just really be separate. So I haven't run across a person who a white guy who's interested in me, but the ones I feel like that are interested in black people specifically, like want a specific thing. So maybe not me, because I might be more like them. Maybe they might want Michael Sam or a Thug or something, and
so it holds true. The fetishization of the black body. That's what I wanted to get to. I didn't want to put the words in your mouth, but you brought it out. I was like, yeah. I was like, this is just how my mind was working. I was like, fuck, I don't fuck with white women because of the fetishization piece, and do you truly want me for me, and all those things as a black man in America. And then I was like, damn, if you're a white man in America, but you happen to be a gay white man in America, how much do you project on gay minorities and gay people of color and be like, yo, I was like, this shit might be doubly bad because you got that whole white man shit going for you to do some white man shit. You know, whatever.
Yeah, so there's some things that I would stay away from. So if it's, and I mean, you can have your preferences. You can absolutely have your preferences. But if I run across something, like if I see somebody on the metro, or I meet them at the library or whatever, then, you know, you don't get to know, oh, okay, I only am looking for black men. But if I see on somebody's profile that they're only specifically looking for something outside of their race, it gives me pause. Yeah. To kind of be like, oh, okay, I guess you can be attracted to what you're attracted to, but it just doesn't exactly sit right with me.
Brain mashing this nigga. Y'all don't see it, but I'm brain mashing this nigga. I'm just curious about it because I remember watching, is that River New Orleans? What was the one with Karamo?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name.
Was it Philly? Was he on Philly? I'm like when I see him on Queer Eye, I'm like, God damn, look at you. Man from real world doing shit. Good for you, Karamo. But I think there was like, no one knew he was gay till he came out. And then I think there was like a southern gay white dude on there.
There was, yeah.
And I was watching one of those episodes where I think he said nigger or something like that. One episode, a gay white dude said nigger, and I thought to myself, oh, you are not an ally. I was like, I thought you could understand because you had to go through some shit But I was like, nope, you still subscribe to white supremacy, and you're not an ally. And,
Don't let me catch you in the streets.
Yeah, no, thank you, sir. No, thank you. Yeah.
Another thing I wanted us to talk about is that I feel like it comes off as toxic masculinity. How like you might hear a conversation between two guys and you hear one of them say pause, even though both parties know they're not gay. But like, why do you still feel the need to say pause? So I wanted to get some of you guys' thoughts on that, and then I also want to see like Michael, what does that like? How does that come off if you were just like walking by a conversation like? But why do you need to say it? Like, why is there a need to say it when we're not? Like, I know for me, I guess I could say it's a New York culture because it's like I've heard it since like middle school. We're just like, and you just hear it so much. It's just like now it's just second nature. And like as I get older, it's something I'm trying to like be more conscious of and think of. Where it's like I don't need to say it. Like I still get caught in it sometimes depending on who I'm around. Like when I go back home to friends, I kind of just say it so like people to shut up because like they'll look at you like, oh, you're not gonna say pause, and it's like, all right, I'm not gonna do this every time, but now just to shut you the fuck up, I'm gonna keep saying I'll say it. But I just want to get you guys' thoughts or perspectives on that. Anybody?
It's stupid. It's stupid. I think New York definitely started with that one. At the end of the day, like you shouldn't have to say pause. It's a waste of energy and time. Truth be told, like you are who you are. You know where you stand. So there's no need to say that. You know what I'm saying? There's just no need to say pause. You know.
So if I think about the cultural constructs of black community and the things that we're known to be, we're supposed to be vibrant, virulent young men, whatever, like strong and all that, super masculine. Our dick's supposed to be big, supposed to be all these shits, and supposed to like be able to breed. Like you can look on pornography right now and it describes black men. They call them breeders or bulls or something like. Yeah, the shit get kind of weird.
What porn you watching?
Same porn you watching if you dig deep. and like all that stuff gives me pause about how the mainstream culture thinks about the black body, but black people can't be white supremacists, but we can buy into the system in some aspects. And so we start thinking, well, they don't think I'm smart, but they think I'm this sexually. And so if I'm going against the norm, the only thing that's semi-positive in a fucked up way, and then like, yo, you messing up the brand for us, because we supposed to be the man's man. We supposed to be the masculine man. We supposed to be hyper as shit. And if you're not doing what we doing, then you fucking it up for all of us. You fucking up the brand. And I gotta pull you back. I gotta call you a sissy. I gotta call you gay. Because that shit fucking it up for all of us. They gonna think we all this because, yay, we are not a monolith, but we are judged as one. And some people can't handle the idea that we are everything at the same time, because for so many years, the mainstream culture does not judge us as everything. I know that's a lot of social construct and shit. I be on my shit sometimes.
You gotta just find ways to break that chain, you know, generations. Like you have to be able to break that, and it
fuck the chain. We gotta blow up the system.
It takes a process.
Man, fuck the process. Nigga, we've been processing for 200 fucking years.
Never mind, dude.
I'm sorry, bro.
No. I get it, but the way the world is now, like it's almost like it's piece by piece. Of course, you want to blow it all up at once, but the way the world is and how people think and just how our thoughts and how we view things, like I think it's one of those things where you have to literally like just it starts at home.
You know what, bro? I've been having PD all this week and I ain't get to get this shit off my chest.
That's
like I actually met up. Like the PD that I was having was in the same hotel with Turning Point USA where Trump spoke.
PD is professional development for people that started out there.
Yeah, so Trump speaking at the same fucking hotel that I'm at. Got these black people with their MAGA hats. I was gonna call them something, but I was like, nah, because everyone gotta live their fucking truth. I will not call them a word that rhymes with moon and starts with a C. I will not do that because they are humans and they are entitled to their opinions. They're entitled, but I've also come to the fact that I can no longer get upset with the way someone thinks, the way someone feels. I do not want to change how you think and how you feel because some of it is so ingrained, but I do need to change the fucking system. You can be as racist with a small R all you want. But when you are racist with the big R that controls the system that police my body and my soul, then that's what I like. Call me nigga. And then I know we stay the fuck over there. But let me blow up the system that prevents me from getting the better job, that prevents me from getting the better loan, that prevents me from going to college, that prevents me from doing the things that are stated in our Declaration of Independence of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Because y'all niggas been stepping on my happiness for a long fucking time. I'm sorry. I'll be reading books.
Alright, so let's make this gay again.
That's the episode.
Because actually what's funny about that is I think social media has kind of helped me to kind of just let people be, and if you on Twitter, Black Twitter's probably going to drag me for a couple of things I've said already. It's happened before. It's probably happen again. Hey, I'm ready. Take my feet. Alrighty. But it's actually, I think, arguments about Beyonce are what kind of let me be like, you know what, and Christina Aguilera or anybody who is good at what they do and having other people tear them down and say, Beyonce can't sing. Oprah's not that great. Oh, or any of the stuff that they would say about Barack. And it's kind of like, you know what, I'm not going to change your opinion. You're not going to change mine. It might not be worth my effort to engage. It's more like, we went to this art gallery in DC, and there were people that were there that were wearing MAGA hats. And initially I looked at them and I was like, but I mean, just like I want to have the freedom to choose things. Now, I don't support racism at all. I don't support it. But just like I want to have the freedom to choose, some of these people were like 15, 14. You know, at this particular point, they might not know anything besides what their parents have passed on to them. So I might want to give them the screw face, but it might not be their fault. But I also watched The Hack on Netflix.
I saw it's on my queue.
Yeah. And so it was talking about the people who were targeted, these messages to sway them to vote for Trump because they thought that they were, it would be easier to get them. They weren't the people who were obviously going to vote for Hillary or obviously were going to vote for Trump. They went for this specific core of people. And so the ads that they saw, it was all targeted. I think Cambridge Analytica was doing this. And so from my perspective, I was like, wow. So they said they didn't target everybody the same. So I was like, wow, well, if I was one of those people who was targeted with just this particular piece of information all the time, would I feel that way? So for me, I've learned, you know, not thinking, when people really kind of used to upset me when I like Beyonce, I like Destiny Child, I like a lot of people, but someone would randomly just post, Beyonce can't sing. You'd be like, what? Is this for likes? Like, like, Beyonce's not talented. She's not a queen. And you're like, okay, but this isn't even worth me engaging. So I've actually taken that and expanded that too, because my mom told me one day, she's like, she don't know you. Like, they're not going to change their opinion or their perception. So when you see people who have different thoughts and beliefs than you, for myself, I'm like, learn how to mind my business sometimes. As long as it's not impacting me in a negative way, I'm gonna mind my business. Even if they have on a bag of hat, that might not mean that they're stopping me from doing anything with my life. So, just my thought.
I'm just imagining a gay black dude wearing a fucking MAGA hat. Like, what are you doing, bro?
You know what? I was contacted by all white guy through a dating app, and he sent me a message. It was like, do you like the role play? I already know where this is going. I already knew. And so I was like, what? And he's like, oh, can I call you the N-word, except he spelled it out. And I think of people who would be okay with that, being like, he can make you do whatever he wanted you to do, and maybe he might want to make you wear a MAGA hat or whatever for his thing about us. So I kind of try to learn how to mind my business. It helps keep my blood pressure down.
Yeah, definitely.
Shoot, 'cause I was like, man, smack that fool, man. What the fuck wrong with you, bro?
We need to ride out. Like, you need to ride out and find him.
Yeah, man. It's crazy times. You got pressing questions?
I do. I'm just wrap this up, bring this down to the final hour. I know we've been
already.
Yeah, it's been a great convo. But I just wanted to know, what would be some advice you would give to us if we were to have a child and they were to be gay or like figuring out that boundary? What would be some advice we could have to like help them?
They were the cute. It's fluid, nigga. It's fluid.
Fluid?
Fluid.
Mm. So I just wanted to know some of that things because you never know in this world. You never know what's gonna happen. So, and then it also goes. I also wanted to ask about that question where I've heard some people say you were either born gay or you were born straight and then turned gay. I just want to know like the nature versus nurture. Like, what do we feel about some of those arguments as we wind down?
All right, well, for me, it was definitely, I think, nature. I feel like I realized that I was different in pre-K, and I didn't know what different meant, or I didn't know what that was going to grow into, but I realized that something was different about me, and of course, I didn't have the mental capacity to be able to understand what was happening, but I was kind of off to myself. I was the only child by my mom, so that could have been it, but the things that I kind of were drawn to were definitely different than the things that other boys were drawn to. And so, yeah, I was really young when I started to be like, oh, something's a little different, even before I could define it. I probably was like in about 3rd grade when I first looked at a little boy. Well, he was actually a bigger boy than me. We were in the same class. I was behind. I'm still behind. I'm still trying to get to that 6 foot, but you know, they didn't heels. Yeah, so for me, I know that it wasn't. It's just the way, I guess I was like Lady Gaga. I was born this way. It wasn't anything that somebody did. It wasn't something my mom did. It's just what naturally happened. So while I was looking at